Hello everyone! Today I'm going to share about 7 ways to be an awesome wife. And if you are into sort of anti-feminist, countercultural messages that will actually help you improve your life to be a better wife, to be a better mom, to be a better woman, or if you're a man who would just like to see a woman talk about this stuff, I guess, then subscribe to my channel because I am going to talk about these things. And if you like the video, definitely hit the like button when you do because that will help make women great again. Be sure to hit the notification bell as well so you will be notified whenever I make new videos. I'll be real, I'm not always going to be doing that. I'm a mom of 3, homeschool mom of 3 with 2 really young ones in diapers. So I don't have a ton of time, but I'm trying to sometimes find time because it's been a while. Okay, my number 1 way to be an awesome wife is to reject feminist rhetoric. So that sounds kind of hefty or I don't know, intellectual or something, but here's the thing. The reality of what is pushed for feminist reasons is not about getting women the right to vote. Because first off, that happened a really long time ago. It is not about equality. That has already happened, and it's just a bunch of BS that people are just not hiring women. How many women have jobs? Like so many. I would actually argue that that's not a great thing for society, but that's for another video. But what we want to do is recognize that there is a real feminist, toxic feminism psychology that is permeating our society that is very anti-stay-at-home mom, very anti-loving, kind, gentle, nurturing woman. It's so, you should be power-driven, you need to watch out for your own, taking care of other people is not what women do. That is the psychology behind what gets pushed as feminism so often. And it is not just from people who are these, crazy-haired, crazy-looking, screaming people on the streets feminists. It's from news anchors. It's all over the place. It's in movies. And an example that I want to give today, I think I will bring in a clip. On the news, there were some people, somehow they decided this was newsworthy to make fun of and shame a stay-at-home mom who shared about her morning routine, or morning and evening routine of taking care of the house, making sure things are pretty organized, setting her husband's clothes up for the next day and his packed lunch, and waking up with him in the morning to have breakfast with him, whatever. Okay, so apparently they decided it was newsworthy to make fun of her. And this just shows how strong this idea is of, oh my gosh, what if we are living in a way that looks like the oh no, the worst decade ever, 1950s. Like, it's so crazy. But, and so they did this. And this is the kind of stuff that's out there in the news. And this can sometimes, I believe, make women question their life choices if they either are a stay-at-home mom or they're trying to be a stay-at-home mom, figuring out how to do that financially. That could be a whole nother video.
50s, or at least that's what I thought when I read this Brisbane mum's Facebook post. Brooke Smith shared her routine online. Here's what she said. I always make sure I don't go to bed until everyone's lunches are packed, their clothes are set out for the next day, including my husband's, and the house is clean, dishwasher is on, and a load of washing is on. I always get up early, 4:30, with my husband to make his breakfast and coffee. Go, Brooke. Whatever. I tell you what, though, Chris, a lot of people online are saying, well done, are praising her.
Who? Who are these people? Oh, has he hypnotised her or something? Who does this stuff? Making his breakfast and then putting his clothes out of a night? Is he disabled or something? Like, seriously.
And I just want to encourage women to not get all, like, oh no, maybe I am oppressed or anything like that, because this is stupid. These people are not coming from a place of understanding a healthy, unified marriage of we have a family unit and we have a goal of raising these children and creating this life for ourselves. And so one person is going to go get the money and the other person's going to help take care of the things at the home so that person doesn't have to worry about it, and you're going to work together. That is just lost on some people because culturally that is so different from the way we're encouraged, honestly, to have marriages where, a lot of people don't even share money exactly. And so it's just this like awkward roommate situation instead of really saying, we are going to delegate. We are going to be as efficient as we can. We're going to play to each other's strengths. And we're not going to get on this pride high of, well, I am too good and powerful and strong to clean dishes. I mean, they need to be cleaned. I think what's really missing is humility. Also perspective of saying, this is important. I am adding value in these ways. And no, I am not less than because I do that. And it's not the husband that's telling the wife that she's less than for being a stay-at-home mom. It's the media. It's mainstream media. It's other people. It's this feminist propaganda is what's telling you that housework and being a housewife or being a homemaker doesn't matter. And they're saying it doesn't matter to raise your kids. You can just delegate that. Just delegate. I mean, they don't even say delegate your chores. I don't even know what they suggest. Like, people end up stressed out without any time because nobody's supposed to be doing it. Because they're not, I mean, I guess they're kind of saying, well, men should start helping out more with it. But it's like, or you could just divide things, and just not get so stuck on it's the wrong choice if I do that. And so it's not about feminism is not about choice, and let women choose. Let each family choose how they're going to find their flow for their family. It's like, if you choose your flow and it's serving your husband in some of these like little ways that aren't super flashy, you're wrong and you should be laughed at, and you are turning our society backwards, and God forbid you're in the 1950s. Making fun of that. And it's not something to be made fun of. I would argue it is something to be desired. It's something that's lacking in society. I believe marriages would be happier, families would be happier, children would be happier. We would do so much better if more women embraced trad wife, trad life, traditional gender roles and whatever. And I'm totally not saying to like strictly say you always have to be like this. No, not at all. But it's this closed-mindedness towards that whole way of life. And it's really brought out of ignorance where people just don't even understand. It's just so foreign, like the concept, that they just go, what in the world is this? Because they don't realize that people live like this. And I would argue are living better lives, happier marriages is what I believe. Something that I have debated is, were women happier in the 1950s? And I'm not going to lie, I kind of thought that like stats would just totally overwhelmingly say like teen suicide was way worse than, now than it is then. And actually things did not honestly statistically look as bleak as I predicted. And actually divorce rates were not as bad now as, I mean, it did escalate, but then like marriages dropped and then whatever. Anyway, it wasn't as compelling as I thought. But this is what I want to say about this thought. Because I have honestly hesitated sometimes, I think, to post videos on this channel. But sometimes I wonder, am I wrong about this? Am I thinking about this wrong? And that maybe I am living less than, and maybe I do want to just, not think about how to do like home systems better and set those kind of goals. Maybe it would be more exciting to try to blow up my YouTube channel or whatever, but what I have to remember is that, sure, I have days that I'm sad. I have kind of sometimes like sort of sad attacks almost. And then I just get in a really sad mood and I have a hard time breaking out of it sometimes. And I do sometimes feel anxious about things, and I'm not always just super perfectly happy. And I wasn't when I was working and I was making good money. I was really doing quite well, to be honest, for after college and whatever. Like, it's a lie that there's any kind of utopia anywhere. So when women are feeling negative or feeling stressed out or feeling overwhelmed or feeling underappreciated, what feminism tends to encourage is to say, you're a victim, you're oppressed, the world is against you, the world is against women, which is 50% of the population, actually a little more. And it's like, no. Everybody feels underappreciated. Everybody sometimes feels like they don't have time. Everybody deals with things. Everybody gets busy. Everybody has to do things they don't want to do. Even if you're a freaking CEO of a company. I mean, there's going to be things that sometimes you have to do something you don't feel like doing. You might need to step in a role and do something that you don't really want to do. Okay, and so there's things that are more fun and less fun about being a stay-at-home mom. There are things that are more fun and less fun about being a homemaker. And I believe that it's through a growth mindset, which actually I'll be getting into. I'm going to do my other points like way faster than this one. This one just has so much to unpack, but we can overcome that. And the problem isn't sexism. The problem isn't even your role in whatever you're doing in your life. And maybe you're not a stay-at-home mom. Well, we just don't play victim, and that's the feminist rhetoric, and we don't want to buy into that. We want to figure out what's right for us and our family and our marriage, and just ignore these people who don't have a clue what they're talking about, and they don't have necessarily great marriages. I mean, look at statistics. Like, culture right now is not a breeding ground for fantastic marriages. Okay, so I will move on to number 2, which I sort of did, which is reject the victim mentality and just take ownership of your own marriage. And so Jocko, I forget his last name, he talks about this, about taking ownership, extreme ownership, and about taking control of your life and focusing on what you can do and your responsibility instead of focusing on what other people can do. And he does point out the point that if you take ownership, a lot of times the other person takes ownership too. So then you're doing better, they're doing better, then you're doing a lot better together. But the point of extreme ownership is not, I'll do this so that person will do that. It's, I am taking responsibility. So even if they don't take responsibility, I'm taking my responsibility. I'm doing what I can. I am going to take ownership over these results. I'm going to take ownership over my marriage. Even if my husband's not doing all the things he wants to do, I'm not going to focus on what he needs to do. I'm going to focus on what I want to do. And of course, people, is this easy? No, no, it's not. It's not easy. It's not natural. Humans are selfish. Humans like comfort. Humans want to blame other people. We are a fallen people. We are living in a fallen world. It's a sinful world. We are not Jesus. Okay, so yes, it will be hard. It might be super duper hard. You might need to employ all kinds of different strategies. You might need to read all kinds of books. Definitely dig into the Word of God. Definitely be praying. Like powerful, not like a little bit, like a lot of it, because it is a hard, life-altering challenge to learn how to take ownership. And trust me, I am not saying that I am here as somebody who is fully always take ownership in every single thing in my life. No. But I am saying that the times that I have taken ownership, it has worked. Even if it hasn't worked, let's not even go there, but it is better. It is superior to take ownership and take control over your own life and your own actions and take personal responsibility and focus on what you can do, because you cannot control what the other person does. Maybe you can influence them, but you're not going to influence anybody by berating them. You're going to influence them by your own positive changes, potentially. And it might not take as much time as we want it to take. Sometimes it takes more patience. Oftentimes that's what goes on. And we have to have patience with ourselves too. And that kind of gets into number 3, which is develop a growth mindset. And so what I'm talking about there is not saying I am a good wife or I am a bad wife, but saying, okay, there is a huge spectrum. There's 1,010,000 ways that I can be a better wife, and there's 1,010,000 things that I could probably do that would make me a worse wife. And so, but what I want to do is continually grow in this area that is so important. And so I'm going to figure out, what can I do to get better? And I'd actually suggest with this video to maybe try to just pick the single point that I'm talking about and say, okay, this is the one I'm going to hone in on, because we can only improve in so many areas at once, right? So we don't want to overwhelm ourselves, and we don't want to condemn ourselves. That's what Satan does, is just condemnation. But what God is always trying to do is sanctification, teaching us to be more like Jesus, to be more patient, to be more loving, to speak more truth, to be more courageous in positive ways. And to love other people in a sacrificial way, not just when you love me in this contractual way, but darn it, I was going to look it up before this, but a way of there's a word, agape love, where you have this commitment and deep, unconditional love towards another person. And that's the kind of love that God has for us. And that's the kind of love that we are supposed to be exemplifying in our marriages, agape love towards our spouse. And this is supposed to reflect God's love for us. So it is not the world's view of marriage of, if if they're doing this, then I'll do that. But anyway, that was kind of more back on number 2. I'll get back onto the growth mindset. But what we want to do is just keep moving towards that and not condemn, but just become more into that agape love. Make those choices and continue and create those habits and create those neural pathways in your brain to think a different way about your spouse, or maybe to just strengthen the positive ways you think about your spouse and talk to your spouse and everything like that. So we want to think about just like growing and continual change and improvement, which is in stark contrast to feminism, where we say, don't even tell us, like reject, like it's sexist to say anything critical. No. We want constructive criticism. We do. It's painful. It's hard. It's not always fun. But, we know that 10, 20, 30 years later, we are going to be much better people. We're going to have much better marriages than, if we say we want to be stagnant. Like, that's not going to be helpful for anybody. Number 4, emotional management. Oh, am I not bad? I am not good at emotional management, guys. And I'm not going to lie. I have a daughter and I have got to get better because I have got to role model this. It can be hard. Sometimes I do tend to believe women might more so than men be susceptible to overwhelm, to just being stressed out, anxiety. And of course there's PMS, which thank you God has never been like the worst for me. I'm just continually emotional. But anyway, it's important, guys. Like the idea to just say, oh, I'm PMSing, so therefore I can act like to everybody. No. Like that is, think about that. What if your husband acted like a jerk and just accepted it like for a week out of every single month? Like, would that be fun to be married to? You know what I mean? And this one is such a tough one because it's like, oh gosh, do I like to wallow and feel bad for myself and to, and say, well, I'm the one who's feeling bad, but it's like we've got to, there's this selflessness that would make us better wives to really embrace and to say, yes, I'm feeling bad, and I need to learn to manage this. I can talk about it. I can do strategies. I can ask him to, watch the kids so I can go exercise in peace, to help deal with this. But the idea of just like, I can just be snippy and snappy and, mean and whatever because I'm emotional, it affects other people. And we have to be aware of that and to say, okay, if I'm struggling with depression, if I'm struggling with anxiety, like this needs to be like a hands-on, like not I'm accepting it, I'm just saying I'm an anxious person or I'm a worry wart or whatever. Like, no, maybe you do need to get counseling, maybe whatever you need to do, like find strategies. There are so many natural ideas of things you can do and tips and tricks. And do they work just like perfectly? No, but they can help take the edge off to help you not be like a hurricane around your spouse, because that's not fun for that. Not just not fun. I say that a lot. I don't know why I say not fun, but I mean, it's hard. It's emotionally challenging on the other person. We have to recognize that our emotions are affecting other people. And so it needs to be a top priority to learn how to manage those things. And I am so working on this. Like, I'm literally thinking there are some strategies I'm trying with my daughter. Like, I need to do them. I need to do the little, like, those little fortune cookie, not fortune cookies, but those things like when you're like a little kid and you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you pick a piece of paper and like flip it up. I have little things like with like emotional management strategies, like drink cold water or do jumping jacks or talk it out. Like I need to do that stuff sometimes when I'm getting all like, grumpy because that I can be a much better wife if I manage that, and you could be a much better wife if you manage that, and so I'm encouraging you together, and it's about that growth mindset, right? And so you can, instead of labeling yourself as I am this, I am that, you can say I'm working on this, I'm working on that, or I'm battling that, to say I am taking affirmative, I hate saying affirmative action, but like I am going forward in action. And I think that's what our spouses want to see. They just don't want to see us just accepting negative stuff that's really negative to them for their whole life. And us just saying, well, that's how I am. You got to love me how I am. It's like our love for them should say we want to change to make things better because we love them that much. And agape love, guys, remember, not just when they're being the way we want to be, but always. The number 5 is encourage your husband. And this is, I'm sure you've heard all the time, but like seeking the positive stuff, looking for the positive stuff, pray about it, pray that you see it. If you're not seeing it, positive affirmation whenever they do something good, you know, and we don't have to be totally unreal with it, but like, I do think we tend to have a lack of appreciation sometimes. I want to use this moment to actually not just tell you to encourage your husband, but to encourage you to hit the like button if you like the stuff I'm talking about. It does help get this message out there to more people. Number 6 is to respect finances. I'm not going to say a lot on this one, but this is really important. Like the idea of like, ha ha ha, I spent an extra $200 at Target, or oh, he'll have a heart attack if he sees how much I spent at Sam's. Like, it's not really that funny. I mean, it's not funny, especially if you don't have the financial margin. And that can really make him feel underappreciated, maybe even not respected, because you're not respecting your finances and the money and the work that he's doing. This is especially true, I think, if you're a stay-at-home mom, but even if you're also working, again, to find that unified, like we're working together to create a financial future is not a lighthearted thing if you just go crazy financially. Okay, number 7 is to enjoy sex. I never thought I'd talk about sex on the internet, but I realized I think I'm gonna like literally make a video about this. Not that I'm trying to become somebody who always talks about that, but I think it is important. And I think there are a lot of things that actually have kind of a lot to do with feminism that limit women from that. And I'm saying enjoy it because I think sometimes, especially in the Christian world, there can be kind of like, okay, women have to have sex with their husbands. And it's like, let's kind of take it up a level and not just look at the law level, but let's look at the thought behind it. And it's like loving your spouse and having that physical unification or whatever, you know, it really means a lot spiritually and relationally and everything else. And so I'm going to make a video talking more about that, but I would want to encourage women to not just say, okay, I have to, you know, submit and do it if I have to, but to say, okay, I'm going to figure out what's holding me back from enjoying this, because that's what he wants probably more than anything, right? Like he's going to enjoy it. He's not, or he's going to have a hard time enjoying it if he knows that you're sitting there being a groucho about it, right? So let's not do that. Let's not be grumpy about things or lazy about things, but let's figure out what we need to do to overcome that kind of thing and just like enjoy it as God gifted us in marriage for that. So, okay, guys, thanks so much for listening to this video. Again, hit that like button if you like this. If you want to make women great again, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know about new videos. And then also, of course, share to really get it out there. Because this is, a lot of this seems really common sense to me, but at the same time, in so many ways, it's really countercultural and it's really not even a popular message. Like some people would be really mad about a lot of the things I said, which is kind of crazy, but this will really help you. I totally believe that. I'm personally at a mountaintop in my marriage right now, but I have not always been. And a lot of the things, like I basically thought through the things that held me back in my marriage and the things that I needed to change and I still need to change to get an ever increasingly better marriage. So that's my prayer for you guys, that you guys can have better marriages, be better wives. Love you guys. I really do. You know, love hearing from you and knowing what kind of help this can be in your life. So talk to y'all later. Bye.